Hello and welcome to the third in a series of podcasts created by IMCD, a global leader in the sales, marketing and distribution of specialty chemicals and ingredients. In 2020, IMCD celebrated its 25th anniversary. It started small in 1995 and has steadily grown into the major global player that it is today in a consolidated industry. I'm Katrina Sickle, I'm a broadcaster and moderator, and I have the pleasure and privilege of marking this major milestone with 4 of the company's group business leaders that are sharing this virtual space. So without further ado, let me introduce them. We have with us today Frank Schneider. He is Business Group Director for Coatings and Construction. Olivier Champeau, he is Business Group Director of Advanced Materials. We also have Marco Madahu, who is Business Group Director for Lubricants and Energy. We also have with us Fikri Alemdaroglu, who is Business Group Director for Synthesis. I am going to ask you all to distill your considerable expertise and your experience and share some insights to some of the biggest issues impacting the industry today in this episode, sustainability. I think you'll agree with me that embedding sustainability in a company's organization and culture really does present a new and complex challenge. But as for all challenges, clear opportunities for growth, clear opportunities for reputation management and more. So let's explore all of that. Let's explore how your entrepreneurial spirit is enabling wider access for market solutions across the value chain. So I think let's hone in on the future and say what's different for 2021 and what's driving that change.
A few years back, a lot of companies were reacting to new regulation, to changes, etc. The difference we see now is a lot of companies are, I would say, proactively embracing sustainability, not as a constraint, but much more as a source of opportunity. It has grown in the last few years, coming from the consumer requirements. Initially, I think there was a lot about regulation, about external factors coming in. And I think more and more companies see that the consumers, the younger generation, they really want this. They include this not only in the way they buy, but in the way they consume, in the way they work, etc. And I think this is changing completely the approach that many companies have to this.
I agree. I mean, it's probably recent. I would say that in the last couple of years, we did see a big push on that. But I will not undervalue this year. I mean, the pandemic has accelerated substantially and I think has impacted the mindset of people. I mean, we are realizing that we are growing substantially. I mean, the social distance, how difficult it was to keep social distance in a world that is full of people. And this is going to grow. I mean, we're going to go 30 to 40% in the next 30 years and resources are less. So people are more, let's say, their mindset is more, they're more careful about energy consumption. They're more careful about what they eat, what they consume, the way they go to work or to see their families. I mean, that is, a lot of work for us, where we have to develop our next 25 years, I would say.
Fikri, what do you think is driving this change?
But in the last, let's say, year or two, especially the younger generation pushed it really well. I mean, like, look at the All Friday for Future movements and so on. These are really, you see that the younger generation wants this, Even my kids, they also even ask for this, Why do we consume this? Why? When I was young, I mean, that was not even a question, but now this became a question. Why are we doing this? Why are we consuming it? And it became a real thing. I see the sustainability and really requested by people, not just policymakers.
In principle, we talk about 1 or 2 years where it had really taken off with much more speed. And when you look at it, you would have wished normally that a development that has started in the 70s has then led to Green Party foundations in the early 80s around Europe, primarily first in Europe, and now we say in the last 2 years, and I think we all agree on that, in the last 2 years, this has taken off dramatically in speed. It's for me embarrassing for our industry because climate change was on the table for 40 years. So what you see is here, it's not an evolutionary process, or if it was an evolutionary process, it was a very, very long evolution to then become a total disruption, because this year and last year for me was a disruptive year in sustainability.
Is it an evolution? Is it a revolution? Is it a disruption? Is it a slow market change, or does it depend?
There must be really a big change happening. Yeah, I mean, what we see is still in the chemical world, this is, let's say, a slow change. Yeah, and the chemical industry have been very protective of its, let's say, technologies, of its, let's say, investments. Yeah, and just recently they have decided, okay, what can our products do? What is the life cycle of our products? Are they really good like that, or can we do it better? Yeah. And this information actually was fed in from the customer side to the chemical industry. And we as IMCD, as the leading distributor here, we also feed the suppliers here with the market information and what they can do to make a change.
So when we talk sustainability, where specifically can you add value as a distributor and as IMCD as a distributor?
We work with producers from countries that do not have the same level of chemical industry quality that we know. And I noticed when I was visiting suppliers in countries that are further away from and also further away from the level of industrialization, I was seeing things that shocked me completely, where I saw production processes and also the way they were treating waste in their production. They just let it into rivers or into water, something that had been banned in Europe for a long time, and it seemed to us natural. I think our influence here is important. So in the more industrialized areas, I see a dialogue that we have, and there we have an exchange of expertise with producers on the supplier side and with producers on the customer side. When we go to areas in countries that are on a lower level, or regions that are on a lower level, it's more that us can challenge something as well, and that we can also give advice to a producer. We cannot give advice to a German chemical producer how he should become better and more sustainable. They drive this themselves. But if we go to the smaller ones in more distant locations, I think if we go there and say, listen, if you do this, sure, your product will be much more attractive on a global scale, and we will then be much better positioned to market your products. I think here we can have a lot of influence. Same on the customer side.
What I'm hearing there very much is we can be an influencer and a challenger.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just, I don't want to duplicate what Frank just said, but I think it's diversifying. I mean, market by market, it can be different, the value we give. Just for a tangible example, we are developing in East Africa low emission fuels, and those customers are asking for support because the technology is very new for them. I mean, it's not the same thing in Europe, where the technology is very advanced. At the same time, we need to support our supplier in extending this mindset to customers. So I think it's the beauty of IMCD to be able to diversify the value country by country and market by market.
I would also see us as a kind of bridge between the suppliers and the customers. And the reason why I'm saying this is twofold. First of all, we all need to remember that most of the customers we are dealing with as a distributor, they are small and medium-sized companies. And it is a fact that small and medium-sized companies are the most innovative companies in the world. They are bringing change, they are challenging the status quo. So on the one hand, we are the extension of our supplier. We can bring them ideas about the market needs, etc. But at the same time, so we can feed our suppliers. But at the same time, we also kind of educate our customers that, as we said earlier, suddenly the need for green solutions has emerged over the last 2 years. But the reality is many of these products, they require industrial development.
And
It requires a lot of time. So that's why this idea of sustainability as a transition, as a journey, is extremely important. And we have a role to play on both sides in this respect.
Fikri, you want to jump in there?
I want to add something here. There are also some ideas. They want a disruptive change. From one day to another, let's delete all the petrochemicals and let's replace them by, plant-based renewables. Surely, where it makes sense, yes, we are moving, or we as IMCD also promoting the solution of, let's say, based on renewable products. But one has to also see the whole life cycle of a product. Yes, during the production of a petrochemical, you will generate CO2, but how much CO2 you will save finally? That's also the life cycle analysis that we do, and we also promote this to our customers. A plant-based material does not mean that it is sustainable, because it can also negatively affect a food chain. We need to be very, very careful here. And we need to not just go into these hypes. We need to have a trade-off, a balanced approach here. For example, we do market raw materials for foam making in IMCD. These chemicals, yes, they are based on petrochemicals, but these foams finally are light in weight, they are good for automotive applications, and they also isolate very well. And finally, they save energy. They save heating energy that we use at our homes or in the industry. So finally, our supplier made an analysis and said, yes, we do produce 1 unit of carbon dioxide, but finally we save 3 units of carbon dioxide. This is a good trade-off, I see.
Where is that focus going to be for IMCD when we look to the future, the immediate future?
First of all, we noticed when we started to dig into this years ago already, we noticed that our intelligence, our own intelligence in this was limited, and we were living from what we were receiving from suppliers, from regulation authorities, or what we got from external sources. I do believe that IMCD has made a tremendous way forward in building up an own think tank that is working on building up intelligence throughout all our industries, because it's not only affecting us in the petrochemical part, it's also on the life science side. We need to have a balanced approach. Fikri is absolutely right. So we need to have the intelligence. We need to know what is the right way to do. So building up this intelligence is one thing. Business group by business group, we have to establish this, and we did this. We established so-called sustainability focal points throughout our coatings business, and there we then really try to understand what is the best way to do something. And by the way, these ways can change because we change our intelligence. Investing into this, into brain work here, is important. For me,
in general, energy and environmental impact is a focus. I mean, I would say for my business group in particularly, we have been touching this in the previous podcast on trends, but the e-mobility and electrical cars, or the impact of lubricants into the seas or in the marine oils, is absolutely essential in the future strategy. We needed these people, our people, thinking about how to develop our products. And I can tell you also a very tangible example again. Sometimes we are able to develop or to discover sustainable products from our supplier that they were not actually made to be sustainable. And that's thanks to our labs, thanks to our technical people, thanks to our trust in between the different partners. So absolutely, I think these trends need IMCD to be delivering the right value.
Advanced materials include plastics. As you know, I mean, plastic and how plastic can spoil the environment is a major issue. And we take it very positively in the sense that we are focusing a lot about recyclability, how we can help our customers produce things that are truly recyclable. you know. And the other element in hand for us, or focus for us, is how we can help our customers improve their operational footprint, reducing waste, energy consumptions, all of these things, which are, I think, as Fikri mentioned earlier, also extremely important. It's not just about green. It's about the overall cycle and getting, I would say, a kind of holistic approach about industrial activities and finished goods.
There are, let's say, some specific, of course, moves that all our business groups are doing, and there's a very good synergy also that we need to mention here. For example, in Synthesis Business Group and together with the others, we do have green task forces that we really exchange information from different countries, because one aspect we shouldn't forget is the policymakers. And there are policymakers, they make different rules in different countries, and we need to follow this. We need to follow these trends, yeah? And our colleagues from different countries, they gather generally online, of course, one has to say, yeah, in order to save also CO2, that they gather together, they share this idea. And one thing one maybe has to say, chemical industry, of course, has not been doesn't have the nice reputation when it comes to sustainability. People do not understand what chemical industry is doing actually in order to save emissions, in order to be more sustainable.
I think this is important, that we reflect what we say and what we do also in the way we work every day, and that has to be visible to our supplier, customer, and most of all to our people. And we've been going through a lot of thinking about new workplaces. You know, this pandemic situation has been changing completely the way we interpret the life in the offices. So we decided we're working with architects, solution company to move to the new offices, which will be very high certificate in terms of environmental impact. But we'll also give the possibility to people to actually have an electrical company car, so they can recharge the car, or to use, for instance, public transport rather than their own car. So it is something that is also moving in the mindset of how we do interpret the daily life in our offices.
Is there anything else you want to tell me about some of those mechanisms internally that are helping you keep sustainability right at the forefront of people's minds?
Perhaps I can give Katrina a couple of examples from my business group. Like we as Synthesis, let's say we are in the, let's say, beginning of the value chain, chemical value chain here, and where we deal with more the reactive chemicals, yeah. And this, of course, gives us the chance actually to change already in the beginning of resin making, already a performance chemical making, let's say, the advantage to propose solutions which are sustainable. For example, one customer of ours in Spain, they were looking for a product which gives less styrene emission. Styrene is bad for, let's say, also has bad toxicity profile. And we used from a large chemical producer a specialty monomer so that this styrene emission can be reduced actually to nearly to zero levels. That is actually put value on the product, I mean, on the product of our customer, which our supplier even did not know that this would add such a value. So, I mean, you see that because of our both synergies in different, let's say, business units, yeah, and also globally, this also brings us these values, and that brings us the sustainable products.
Another key element is certifications in some cases, just to make sure that, because some of them are really ticket to the games, you need to have them. And typically at IMCD in France, since 2016, we have started to work on this, and we got the EcoVadis certification in 2016, the gold one, and last year we renewed it, and once again we got the gold EcoVadis certification, being part of the top 1% of the companies in our sector. So it is important to have this to the outside world, to show our commitment. But I think equally important, it's the managerial point behind this, to say to our teams, guys, we don't do it only for the outside world. We do it because it's our own commitment to you, to our children, to society.
And would you say that sustainability really provides another opportunity despite the challenges?
Here, I can give you an example. We use in the world 500 billion disposable coffee cups every year. And the paradox here is that many people think, well, because it's in paper, it's made of paper, it's recyclable. Well, this is in fact not true, because to make it work, you need to coat inside plastic polyethylene. And to your question, how we reinvent things at IMCD? Well, working with one of our partners who is developing interesting processes around pulp and paper products in Scandinavia, we started to search for new materials, and we came up with the idea to use a natural polymer, which is normally used in detergent tablets. And with this partner, we were able to apply this natural polymer inside the coffee cup. I cannot reveal names because this is being patented at the moment, but the consequence of this is working with specialty material and an innovative partner. We are able now, and very proud that soon we can help this customer put on the market coffee cups which are truly and 100% recyclable. That's typically the attitude and the mindset we have.
Do you think it's very important when you take on talent that there should be that understanding that this sustainability is critical?
Even in order to attract these young talents, we need to show that we are actually doing something for a sustainable future. I mean, I don't think a 20-year-old guy would or girl would choose us basically if we are not doing anything sustainable. Yeah.
We need to show a clear commitment to the society here, and I think this is a very interesting point for us as a company, and it's a very interesting point for the industry in general.
You really are putting your money where your mouth is and using your unique position between the supplier and the customer to have that influence, to drive that change. I always come back to this because I hear a lot of these words that define IMCD: co-creation, the entrepreneurial spirit, the daring, the freedom, the international mindset. So I again have to come back and ask you if each of you sees one particular element as being instrumental in keeping IMCD on the path to sustainability. What would it be and why?
I think at IMCD, we don't look at the world as a set of constraints, but as a set of opportunities and challenges.
A visible, honest commitment, demonstrated and documented, honest commitment to sustainability.
Basically, we want to create, let's say, these sustainable solutions because this is basically our future. If we don't have these sustainable products in our portfolio, if we don't have the arguments that we have, if we don't provide the solutions, we cannot create this value. And sustainable solutions are really, a lot of opportunities are there and a lot of value is behind it. And all our people really embrace this.
We are solution driven. We have expertise, but most of all, we have the trust and the link with great supplier and great customers. That is helping us and making our life easier, because when you have great supplier and great customer and great people, we cannot fail.
I think it's an absolutely fascinating conversation for me, gentlemen, and particularly because you have brought out exactly where your added value as a distributor, but as IMCD, of course, as well, is in really influencing, having that dialogue, having those conversations, driving the debate, but not just that, finding the solutions. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk sustainability with you. I'm going to remind our viewers and our listeners that, of course, this is the third in a series of 5 podcasts that tackle some of the big topics impacting the industry today. And if you want to have your say or you have any question at all, don't forget you can just email podcast@imcdgroup.com. So if you've enjoyed today, if you've enjoyed the other episodes, join us for the next one, in which we will focus on innovation. It's a buzzword, and we're going to unpack what that buzzword means for a distributor, but specifically for IMCD. So don't miss it.